Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his.
Listen, you're gonna have to quit pointing and elbowing me and pointing at things.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Oh, hi, folks.
Elbowing you is just getting ready for tonight's game.
Sorry, folks. I didn't know you were there yet. Good morning, Rena Shear, Scott Tomko, Bobby Leister.
Podium.
Greg Garcia, so close. Morning, folks. He's come so far.
He has come so far. He's learned.
More.
Never again will he make that mistake.
No.
Ricky
Pretty soon it'll
King.
be, good morning, gentlemen. Have a nice day.
And that's why he'll never get back on the podium. It's
It
too
takes
much.
too long to type that.
He'll have to start at 6:30 if he wants to get his whole sentence in.
Spell check.
Ricky King, good morning. Lisa Poole, Justin Glass, Mark Cepeda, Mark Kurtz, Randy Langston checking in. Junior Samples, Tammy Keeling, Stephen Castaneda, Carter as well.
Hey, Carter, what's up, buddy?
Scott Snow, Andrew Alvarez, Brent Goen, good morning.
Hey,
Micah
Brent.
Patton, Heather Stewart. Good morning, everybody. Stay warm today. It is chilly. Whew. Chilly. Without beans. Exactly. Oh,
I had
there we go.
a great Saturday morning with Brent going last week. Could have only been better if we'd actually caught fish. We fished, which was enjoyable in and of itself.
No, you cast.
Yeah, I cast a lot.
You didn't fish.
I told him the thing I like about fishing is when you can't see, when the water's not dead clear, at least every time you cast, there's anticipation, there's a chance that you're going to catch something. I've been on dove hunts where you just sit there,
Drink bourbon.
all you do is drink beer and smoke cigars because there's not a bird flying anywhere in the vicinity. That's not as much fun as fishing.
David Glass, Jackie Parsons. Great
Jackie
opportunity.
Glassman.
Great opportunity
Parsons.
to remind you to get the Deerlam feed today. Still going to be cold. You might if you lucked out last night. You want the freeze miser? Go get it.
Wendy Hughes Garcia with an M-O-R. John Paul Hall with just a simple M.
You think with just an M, he'd be at the top.
I keep thinking
top of the
Wendy's
heap.
going to put morons and as an address to us. There's David Ballard. Judge Posey, good morning, sir. Scott Tonker says fishing is like Las Vegas. That's right. The fish win. I've always wondered if you had like a radar, like how many times I've been standing here casting, and like right behind me, you know, there were 5 million fish just looking at me. They're all just sitting there. Like
That's why they're on the other side. Then as soon as you turn around, they swim around about.
throw your net to the other side of the boat, you know?
Exactly. There's Sherry Jacobs, Andrew Alvarez, plugging his campaign
How can
site.
you be against that? Fightfortexas.com. You can't be against that.
Fightfortx.com.
TX.
We know what it means, though. He's having a Facebook Live event tonight. Oh, you're
check him out.
Yeah. Well, let's get to the Wade and Carter weather, then we'll get to your event, Andrew.
Weather brought to you by those great folks at AT Deerland Feed, and just highly recommend get by. You may not think that it's fertilizer weather, but you're getting it into the soil now so that when it starts to pop, it will really pop. Randy Langston, we're not going there. 26 degrees in Victoria. They say it feels like 11. You know what? I agree. It's cold out there.
The wind.
Heading to a high today of 43 degrees. Sun's coming out at 10 and should be out until dark, which is, like around 4:30 these days.
Hey, Wendy, we appreciate that. Hey, y'all are the least moron guys I know.
Thank you, Wendy. You're a sweetheart.
That's a pretty low bar.
There you go. That's a lot. She only knows us and her
And her
husband.
husband, yeah.
That's it.
Marvin Mickish, good morning. Kathleen Leininger.
She kept in a nunnery all those years.
Andrew. Did you not realize that Canada USA is tonight?
There's going to be 8 people in Victoria watching that. Folks, this is a big moment. Ash is having like a religious experience. No humor.
None.
This is like,
Here's my prediction. I'm kind of going Lee Corso here and putting the hat on, but I don't have a hat to put on.
Canada going to win the rematch? It's hard to beat somebody twice.
It is. And yes, I believe Canada's going to win the rematch. And here's my proof. A 1987 Canada Cup jersey in which Canada beat everybody they played that year. And it is a Gretzky.
It's a Gretzky.
So there you go. I think it's going to be a 4-3 game, maybe 5-3 final with an empty netter. That's my prediction. There you go.
I don't know how.
Scott Tomko is going to be one of the 8. You know, it's. I think there's going to be more than that. It's been crazy, the people that I've kind of run into around town that are talking about this game that would never talk hockey. I mean, we've talked about it here because some of you have brought it up. But if you want to see good hockey tonight, and I don't think you're going to see any of the fisticuffs that we saw in the first Canada-USA game. But I think you'll see that first period was awesome hockey. The second and third, not bad. But I think you're going to see.
One of our listeners wants to know what an empty netter is.
Empty netters when typically you're going to be trailing late in the game, and as a result, you're like all hands on deck. Everybody come help us try to score. So you pull your goalie, and your goalie comes up and begins the attack, which gives you a numbers advantage. But in the event that you lose the puck, the other team has an open goal down there with nobody to guard it.
Yes.
And a lot of times, even almost at like center ice, flip goes right in the goal for an empty netter.
Well, you have to be across center to not be called for icing if you miss the net.
It's a lot like watching an NBA game where nobody plays defense.
Sorry, that was a question for Ash.
No, I'm just trying to show that I too know the great
He's
game
learned a
of
lot in
hockey.
the last few years.
I have learned a lot. Hey, Mike Bloschke, good morning, brother.
Lisa Poole checking in. She says USA, USA, USA. I just want to see a good
You
game.
think Brigade's out there building a house today?
Of course they are.
You know Mike Bloschke's up this time of day because he's out there building somebody a custom home.
Yep. And a nice one, too.
Cold. dog.
Sarah Elkins, good morning. Stuart Martin checking in. I don't see that comment. Who wanted to know what his empty netter was?
I don't know.
Asking for a friend.
I think
Oh,
Cody
okay.
gets
Cody wanted to know what an empty netter was.
Cody gets the interesting stuff. Sheree Burchett up early.
Buddy Stavanoa, good morning. Tammy Williams.
Great
checking
group
in.
of folks,
we're
man.
glad
Lots
you're all
to
here
talk
this
about
morning.
today. Lots.
Let's keep it local first. What the hell's going on in Goliad, folks?
You know, they have that really cool little rodeo. Really cool.
In less than a month, and I can't wait for it. And
Yeah, if
our
we're still
buddy Johnny Houghton, I think his sons are going to be competing in that one this year because there's a gap in the college rodeo calendar and it allows them to participate.
Well, if we're still welcome over there after this morning's show, we will see. We will see.
Well,
But
we don't know all the
there's
lots of smoke around some really iffy things going on
political
over
moves.
there. Yeah.
There's a constable over there. So here's the deal. So this constable, they have 2, whereas say Victoria has 4, but Goliad has 2 constables, and one of them is moving like to Arkansas or somewhere. They're moving. Doesn't matter. They're leaving the community.
Yeah. A month on the job, got
This
another
guy
job.
was sworn in January and is leaving.
I'm just having a hard time believing somebody didn't know that prior to election day.
Well, which leads me to,
But-
there is a rumor, by the way, if you live in Goliad or if you have any real knowledge of this situation, we're not offering opinions. We're offering what we've heard. I guess we're spreading gossip. Our number is 894-4020.
The facts are they elected a constable in November. He got sworn in January 1, and now he's leaving.
He's leaving. And they were under the impression, they being, I guess, the county judge and other electeds, that they don't want to replace this guy.
They want to do away with
They
him.
want to just do away with one of those positions. And they have been informed that they have the authority to do that. The state allows them to reduce their constable force by one at their discretion.
Which is an odd statement when
Who gets rid of a law enforcement guy?
When you're right through the corridor of human trafficking, drug smuggling.
Why would you want everybody on deck?
Yeah, and you've clamored for state money. You've offered up a alternative to the Regional Sheriff's Alliance to assist with this stuff. It makes no sense at ground level.
No, I can't. It's not about money, I don't think.
No.
So that's one thought. But then I was told, have been told multiple times, that someone or someones over there want to get rid of their county auditor. Now that makes me a little anxious. If somebody decided to get rid of our county auditor, who, by the way, the county auditor is not, while not autonomous, they don't really fall underneath the commissioner's court.
It'd be like Trump getting rid of Doge on a whim.
Yeah.
What the heck's he hiding, right?
Right. When they start looking at the executive branch, we do away with it. But I could see if for some reason political pressure and tensions made you not like that particular county auditor, of whom I have no knowledge, don't know anything about him, her, whatever. But I can't see doing away with the position of county auditor, and have now been told that at one point the quote was the county judge, may not personally have done it, but the county judge locked this person out of their office and was ordered by our district judge, Judge Stephen Williams, a fine judge, been on the bench a long time, that you will reinstate the auditor's privileges post haste. And I was told that they were summoned to visit with the judge. So very interesting things going on over there. There's talk of a fiefdom. See, Goliad's just big enough to have some resources and just small enough that nobody really watches what's going on over there.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to get rid of the auditor, that makes you wonder what's happening.
Schreiber said, who's saying they want to do away with the position and what do they gain? It's always money. Follow the money. Yeah, I would argue that something's amiss, and the auditor maybe have brought it up or is going to bring it up, or oops.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a logical thought process. Why would
maybe
you
we
want to get
need
rid
a
of the auditor?
forensic audit.
Right? Maybe we need to send some of our folks over there.
Maybe we need to call in the Texas Rangers.
Oh, Ben. But here's what I'll tell you with love. Makes me proud of our commissioner's court. Makes me proud of our county judge. You don't hear about that chicanery going on in Victoria County.
Wendy Garcia says cutting the constabulary. I like that term.
Wow,
it
that
just seems so 1890s,
that's-
doesn't it?
The constabulary.
Yeah. In this part of the state, in this day and age, is a special kind of stupid.
Amen. And the constables do so much. I'm not sure I can tell you, but I know they do a lot, right? They do a lot, right? Cody, look up the role of a constable in the county system, will you? Commander Cody.
I'm just surprised we only have one constable per precinct.
Well, they pay them.
Yeah.
It costs money. But, it used to be, didn't a constable, wasn't he like the truant guy? Wasn't he the guy that, but now since 90% of our kids don't go to school.
Well, since we don't care about truancy anymore.
True.
All right.
And
So
we
they
don't
do law enforcement,
Right.
which we figured. Civil process, serving warrant subpoenas. Judicial security, serves as bailiff for the justice of the peace court.
Okay, there you go. So you have that JP court to handle all the misdemeanor stuff.
Which would make sense why they were doing the truancy stuff, because that's where
Right.
the truancy used to go through.
Right. Traffic enforcement, which kind of goes with the law enforcement, and then civil court orders, serve and execute civil court orders, including eviction actions and seizing property.
Now, I'll take a ticket.
One elected constable, and they can hire deputy constables. Thank you, HR.
Thank you,
See,
HR
you
Mallory.
always bring
That's
such great
you do
law
bring
enforcement
great value.
perspective.
I'll take a ticket from a trooper, and I'll take a ticket from VPD or from a sheriff. I don't know if I'm taking a ticket from a constable.
What are you going to do, run?
I don't know. I'm just going back to your truck. No, I'm kidding. We're very fortunate. I've met all of our constables here. I don't know what they do on the daily.
Put on lots of miles.
Lots of miles. They've seen miles and miles of Texas.
They have.
There you have it.
In their little corner of Texas.
Tell you what, speaking of miles and miles of Texas, Went Services. They service Corpus, Refugio, all the little ones, Hallettsville, Yoakum, Yorktown, Runge. If you have electrical needs, if you need a generator, it's 24 degrees out there, folks.
All the way to the valley.
If they do. They often go to Corpus and do generators up on stilts for the folks that live near the waterways. Great service, turnkey service. Call Went Electrical today. Chopping block's got tomahawks on still for $19.99 a pound. They're about 3 inches thick. Trying to think of what else. I was in there. Yesterday was Wacky Wing Wednesday.
Yep.
There's still wings. They have about 8 different flavors of
They're
wings.
just not on sale today, but they're still a good deal. The hanger steaks are still, I think, $9.99 a pound, right?
Now, here's some trivia for you. I go in there a lot, and we support our sponsors. And I go in there and buy meat. And every time I put in my phone number, and you get like points. And yesterday, true story, I got a free ribeye.
Nice.
I mean, a big old steak. So get by the chopping block and experience that. Brand us. Cody's here. You just heard him providing value to the program. If you need value brought to your Facebook page, your website, he can totally, he's very creative. He'll come in and say, well, what if we did this? What if we did that? What if this led to there? He's very, very, he just thinks in gigabytes while I'm thinking in nothingness.
Megabytes.
Megabytes. There you go. Terabytes. How about that?
That'd be better. He's terabyte thinking.
He's thinking in terabytes. I'm thinking in overbytes. Ads and Offer and adsandoffer.com. Just simply the best dealership in the world.
Yeah.
Global excellence. Ads and Offer is your Chevy dealer. White Trash Services, White Trash Site Services. If it's trash and needs to go, they're the people that you call. That's who you
They'll
call.
haul it off for you. They even have the people to load the trash up if you don't want to touch it.
550-1826. And Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Reach out to Palace and have a great time. Just get out there and have a good time. Support local charities. It is wonderful. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Get by and see why.
You always do better at Chesnick.
There you go. Bobby Leon and his family serving you and yours.
Yep.
It is interesting when you think about it so my family, my mom's family, her family, think about that all the way back to your at least your great grandparents. That era of folks have shopped at Chesnick Furniture. It's awesome.
Probably going back to your great. You're right.
Back when it wasn't downtown Victoria, when it was just Victoria.
Jared Glass checking in. Torrin Bales, good morning. Kathleen Leininger throwing down the chicken soup gauntlet here. Sunday in Moulton, best chicken noodle soup dinner ever.
She is not mincing any words.
Those are all complete sentences on their own.
Sunday in Moulton.
Where in Moulton?
I think she's saying just come to her house.
Come to her house and she's making it?
I think so. There's J Dub.
That
Good morning,
sounds
J
free.
Dub. That does sound free. Melissa Hanson checking in. Will Vincent, good morning.
J Dub, I have 3 phrases for you. USA, USA, USA. It's going to be a throwdown tonight. If I was there, I'd
there
throw
are a
punch
lot
you.
of Canadians worried.
Well, they should be worried. For America, it's an all-star game extension. For Canada, it's a statement of national independence. It's a big deal. Canada wants to win.
Who set it up here? Greg Garcia asked if Canada was going to boo their new national anthem again. They won't tonight because the game is in Boston.
Their new national anthem. I bet you they do. I bet you the Canadians that are in attendance, or the American, in Boston, huge liberal hotbed, they will probably boo their own anthem.
They might. There you go. St. Joseph Catholic Church Social Center in Moulton on Sunday. What time? Like if I showed up at 11, am I too late? Am I too early?
There won't be any left.
There might not be.
There's only 3 big cans. I want you to tell me, because I'm always...
What, am I eating at Fasadi's?
Yeah. 3 big cans of chicken noodles.
They would
too.
like you to camp out overnight.
It's
Right.
condensed.
It's like eating at Snow's Barbecue. We're only open on Saturday from like 11 to 12:30, and then we run out of meat. It's like going on a jog with with Forrest Gump. You just don't know when he's going to stop and eat. Snow's Barbecue, apparently, the gold standard now in Texas brisket. Yeah, I want to know. I see you've got stuff there. I don't care about that. I want to know what happened yesterday with your president, your guy.
This is where I was going.
I want to know what he did to upset the left in New York State is unhinged. The governor, can you tell me the governor's name in New York?
Hochul. Kathy
Only because you
Hochul.
read it. You didn't know it this
I've
morning.
known it because she's an idiot.
Okay, well, that helps. And I'm glad you're keeping a list of all the idiots. But am I on it?
They're gonna, you were. I erased it. I put you in pencil.
Okay.
You come and go
I
off
had
the
a
list.
chance.
Everybody else is in pen. You're at the bottom in pencil.
You're on like a 1-day contract here. You mess up one time and you're out. But the president gloating, we've got to get him just on the teleprompter. I want him to wear like a headset that has a teleprompter hanging in front of him. I want it to be like a halo with a teleprompter because
Or was it Google that was trying to make those glasses that had virtual reality? You could
anytime
see stuff.
that
Yeah.
this man speaks on his own, I'm convinced, does it to irritate the left.
and the world, because he pissed off everybody twice, or not everybody.
He made me laugh.
Yeah, but he pissed off all of Europe when he said that Ukraine started the war.
Yeah, which I think was just a gaffe. Why would you say that? Even I believe
But here's my
Russia attacked them.
They did. But here's my conspiracy theory on this. And maybe it's not a conspiracy theory. Maybe it's just old school propaganda type of.
Well, you come from it naturally. Your dad being a covert agent.
Then you understand these things. But the left and even many on the right have forgotten these sorts of games that were played back in the day, right? Especially during the Cold
War. Yes, Cold War for sure.
Lots of verbal gamesmanship and verbal sparring or verbal niceties to help. Anyway, here's where I'm going with it.
Please, we only have an hour.
Because Putin has blamed Ukraine for the problems because and I'm not being a Putin apologist here.
Because Putin wanted some land and they wouldn't give it to him.
There's that. But simplifying it, he felt that Ukraine got too cozy to NATO. The West made promises after the breakup of the Soviet Union that we would not encroach on Ukraine or the western borders of Russia. We've kind of done that by inviting all these countries into NATO. So Putin saw that uses that as justification for what he's done. I think he's just a psychopath and wants to go to war and kill people.
Your Uncle Vlad, you
Yes.
think he's a psycho?
Yeah,
he
was never welcomed at the Christmas parties back in the KGB, but mostly because he'd kill half the people in there.
I don't disagree with Torrin Bales. He says a big part of Trump's success is his ability to speak to divert.
And this is where I'm going with this. He said that Ukraine started the war.
Right.
Could it be simply to give Putin a propaganda win in Russia?
It could
to make the negotiations and the conversation
absolutely
continue and go down the path they wanted to go to. Here's where I've got some issues though. Last week, before they met in Saudi Arabia, before Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, met with the Russian counterparts in Saudi Arabia, we were hearing all sorts of talk about it was going to be peace talks, right?
Right.
Peace talks, peace talks, peace talks. That was it. Now they're dancing that back a little bit. They're not just walking it, they're dancing it.
Yeah, now it's about U.S. and Russia relations and how we get along and, the sanctions and things. It's more about the U.S. and Russia have to get on a common ground before we can all approach Ukraine.
Yeah. Jared asked if ISIS and Taliban were setting up shop and bases in Mexico. Would the U.S. have gone in and prevented that?
Yes.
Are you comparing NATO to ISIS and Taliban, or is ISIS and Taliban actually setting up shop
Right, because here's something to remember.
in Ukraine? I don't know.
There was a time, and I want to say 87, I don't remember exactly when it happened, but it was negotiated that Ukraine, which used to be part of USSR, right? Well, they had nuclear weapons. And the U.S. negotiated with Ukraine, hey, you're wanting to be democratic. Let's get rid of, which really they're just oligarchic, but let's get rid of your nuclear weapons and we will protect you. And Ukraine acquiesced, and their nuclear weapons are no longer around. They don't have a nuke to fire at Russia, but Russia has a nuke to fire at them. So I think if
it would fire.
If I'm Vlad Putin, even though I understand the concept of NATO is all these little countries getting together to prevent a war going across Western Europe, because they are a united organization. We will all band together to beat you. It's in contract. I don't think that Ukraine needs to be part of NATO. I don't. And as evidenced by the fact that they're in a war with Russia, none of these other countries have been in a war with Russia since NATO was begun. So you find yourself going, NATO finally, they got together, everybody without the U.S., they got together and agreed that they would band together and take care of Ukraine. Well, finally, after we've spent hundreds of billions of dollars, your dollars, tax dollars, in a place that until Joe Biden said, I'm wheels up, Jack, in 6 hours, none of y'all could have told me where Ukraine even is, much less what their politics were. And if Zelensky wasn't like a cute little version, he'll be played by Tom Cruise in the movie. If he wasn't just a cute little hobbit, we wouldn't all be so pro-Ukraine. We're just anti-Russia. And I agree, Putin's got one more war left in him, and he's just bored. He's bored. They're broke. I think that he's ready to do something. I am convinced that aside from nuclear holocaust, the United States could clean up Russia in a week and a half. I'm convinced of it. Just fly about half a dozen F-35s over there and it would be over. They've got nothing. They've got nothing. They've got a bag of nothing. They can't beat Ukraine. How are they going to beat the United States? It would take nuclear holocaust to do it.
Jared says the USSR lost 1 in 7 people in World War II, many on their own territory. So they would not accept perceived enemies on their borders, and they view NATO as their enemy. I'm going to say that's more Putin than they, but I don't know.
But I don't disagree, right? It's the United States we're always imposing our will on other countries.
But here's the other problem I've got with it. They don't blame Stalin and Lenin for the hundreds of millions of Russians they killed.
Right.
It's all the bad people and don't get me wrong, Hitler was a bad guy.
Stalin killed his own people, no doubt. Yeah, but Stalin was every bit as bad as Hitler.
Yeah, worse.
Every bit as bad, yeah.
I mean, well, they both discriminated against everybody. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can rank.
Jews too.
And gypsies and anybody that he didn't think was an ethnic Russian. I mean, it's Germans, you name it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got the president saying that, and I always say that he's playing playing chess while everybody else is watching checkers, and he may be. I had told Ash, maybe.
Well, there's a reason for that, though, Jarrett. The U.S. doesn't fight wars to win them anymore.
No, that's right.
They're in it to make money for those that run the military-industrial complex.
Totally different deal.
And you opened my eyes to that 30 years ago, and I didn't believe you, Jarrett. I mean, I remember having a conversation one drunk Christmas.
Jarrett's starting to shape up like a Canadian that might be a little upset with the U.S. Are you kind of hearing that?
No.
How about though? My original thought
Stalin's career was better, but Hitler had a shorter time, so we need to go to points per game.
Stalin's more like Nolan Ryan, whereas
Whereas Hitler was Randy Johnson.
He's got a body count that'll never be matched because you never go more than 5 innings anymore. Yeah. I had thought originally that maybe Donald Trump or Marco Rubio was going to get. I mentioned this to you the other day. Maybe he was lobbying for a complete withdrawal by Russia. At what time they could have said the United States came in, We've negotiated a complete and total withdrawal from Ukraine. The borders will go back the way they have been. In return for this, the sanctions against Russia have been lifted. The U.S. is acquiescing because we should have kept the sanctions in place for at least as long as the war lasted. You know, if it's been 3 years, we're going to keep the sanctions on you for 3 more years. But in exchange for the borders being restored, we will lift the sanctions now. And everybody would be a winner, including Zelensky. But when that apparently, if that was even arguably the thought, that's the only thought I could think of for excluding Ukraine. Now it's just a big mess. So flash forward to New York, and Trump is taking credit for getting rid of this congestion tax, which I think had to do with cab drivers. It was going to be passed on to the people that take cabs.
Everybody that entered into the congestion area was subjected to a $9 toll on top of all the tolls you already pay to enter Manhattan. And here's the thing. They said in the first, I think it went into effect January 1, and they said in the first month, vehicular traffic was down 9%. But then but pedestrian traffic is up. Sorry, folks, nobody's walking from New Jersey to Manhattan.
I like the idea. Jared just said he's all for Alberta to be the 51st state, but just give us the Canadian dollar at par. So a Canadian dollar, we want to buy this cup. It costs $10 US. It costs $12.50 or $13 Canadian. Yeah. He's just saying
probably more like 14 these days.
If I've got $12.50, then I want you to give me 12 American dollars and 50 cents. And by the way, that would be the cheapest purchase ever since the Louisiana purchase, and I would do it because we're just printing the money anyway. Hi, John Anderson. Good morning. But the president says that he's taking credit for getting rid of this congestion tax. And in his glib remarks at some point goes, that's right, I did it. Long live the king. The left in New York has gone nuts.
Yeah.
The governor of New York screaming, we don't have a king in the United States. I mean, she's a nut job. Right here, Hindustan Times. Trump likens himself to king after axing. Trump declares New York City congestion pricing dead, proclaiming long live the king. New York Times. Trump likens himself to royalty on Truth Social. Folks, take a joke. Now, given he probably shouldn't do that when the whole world is at least listening to the concept that he's becoming a dictator. He's accumulating power. He's consolidating power. He said, here's the exact quote in all caps, congestion pricing is dead. Then in normal script, Manhattan and all of New York is saved. He wrote, long live the king. Him being the king of the deal. Do you take that as him being a king?
I read that now. I could see it being sarcasm towards the mayor of New York who wanted a congestion tax.
Well, true story. And I don't know why the president of the United States had to weigh in on a tax in New York State anyway.
They had to get approval from the Biden administration to put it in place. And the only thing I can think of as to why, because typically tolls are state, right?
I guess.
All I can think about is there was some federal dollars that went to it. And I bet you Doge will find them. And there's other issues.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't help when the White House does this either, right?
The White House did that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you should have done that.
So, I mean, here, I'll share the screen here and you can see what the White House.
The White House put this
X
out
yesterday.
Now, I mean, almost it's like, hey, take a joke, but at the same time, when people are mad at you or considering that you might be overstepping your bounds, maybe you shouldn't do that. I mean, I don't know.
That's funny.
It says here that President Trump is considering returning 20% of the Doge savings to the American people in the form of a check.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But here's I'm trying to figure out why they needed federal approval other than there's got to be some money coming from the Department of Transportation to New York for this. The other issue that was brought up that nobody seems to be talking about, but I believe Trump raised, was this toll which typically is supposed to go to streets and roads, has been diverted to the Metro Transportation Authority, New York, basically buses and subways.
You got to figure the cab drivers and those that work every day are very, very pleased.
Oh, yeah, now because they're probably getting if vehicular traffic has dropped 9%, that's a 9% drop in cabs. Let's be fair. Let's be honest. Cabs and
cab drivers that aren't going to work. They're not. They're out of work.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mom.
Black cars, Ubers. I mean, it's so. I mean, you pay more for parking a month than you do for your car payment if you have a car in New York City.
Ricky King says he did say king of the deal. Now I don't know that. Did he?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Appreciate that, but
I think that it's
but he's doing it to get a rise out of the left.
Okay, and that's a great thing. That's a great precursor to my comment. It's one thing for me or for Ash and I, Ash and me, for us to say, hey, bleh, to try to get a rise out of somebody. That's one thing. We're a regional, well, actually multinational, but anyway, international, intergalactic radio program.
Good morning, Pope Francis.
How are you, sir? Hope you're feeling better. But when the president of the United States, who's already facing pressure for being a jerk, I mean, let's be honest, that's what he's facing pressure for. When he goes, look at me, I'm the king. It just reeks of something Shane Ellis should run, Gillis, that guy, should run with. He died like a dog. He was crying. I wouldn't cry. That guy. The president, he needs that mobile, wherever his head goes, there's a teleprompter in front of him, a hologram that just says, don't say it. Stop, Donald.
What he needs is a commander to sit and say, sorry, you can't say that.
Right, absolutely. Sometimes we need that as well.
Haven't had it yet.
I wouldn't try it.
Yeah, let me know when he shows up.
Right, absolutely. Unless you're wearing Kevlar, be careful over there.
Melissa Hansen says it's so cold out she feels like she's back in New York.
Right? I can't imagine.
This is about as cold as there's probably been one time I've been in New York City where it's been a little colder than this.
We spoke with Sheriff or State Representative, House District 30, AJ Louderback this morning before the show, and he just said, man, I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm at an HEB getting fuel, and it's 20 degrees. And he's, he doesn't have enough body fat to be in that. Yeah. It made me laugh because he has said what so many of us have seen. You and I used to talk about it when you lived out in the country. If he leaves his temporary home up there at 6:30 in the morning, he's at the Capitol at 6:45. If he leaves at 6:35 in the morning, he's there at 8.
Yeah.
And I would sit at the light at the Loop and 87 with the same 4 cars every morning at 6:30. I'd go, hi, how you doing? There was a little white Audi had a Texas X deal on it, and the lady would give me a thumbs up for the Bronco. And every morning they were there. We all were on the same schedule. And just being that if I leave 2 minutes earlier, I get the previous light. I don't see those people, and I'm here 5 minutes earlier. Yeah. Jeff Finley checking in. Good morning, sir.
Sheree Brissett and H.R. Mallory and Scott Tomko all kind of say the same thing. It doesn't matter what he did. He could do nothing, says Sheree, and the left would come up with something, so you might as well.
They twist everything.
And there's the thing when you really think about it.
They cry wolf constantly.
Yeah, when you really think about this, the New York Times. President Trump is famous for his love of everything gold and other trappings that connote royalty, whether it be large military parades or extravagant inaugural balls. Everybody's inaugural ball has been extravagant. Give me a break.
They are. He didn't.
But he went a step
further. He didn't plan that.
And they talk about his long live the king. Let's not talk about saving $9 for every motorist, tourist that goes into New York City.
Right. Nobody wants to talk about the money that he saved.
And it's interesting because it was supposed to clear up the smog in Manhattan. Well, they talked about the drop in traffic. They talk about the increased foot traffic, pedestrian traffic. Nowhere in the article I read yesterday did they mention anything about the air quality in New York City improving in the last 2 months since this was enacted.
Because it wasn't an issue. It wasn't real. H.R. Mallory made a comment, Scott Tomko, the gist of it being he's got 4 years. He's going to have some fun.
Yeah.
H.R. says he's the master of trolling, and that's very true. That's very true.
Morning, Bob Constantine.
Hey, Bob, good to see you, brother. Says maybe you had trouble with this press secretary. She's very elegant about the way she puts everything. She is really good. Really, really good. Peter McNally says power of the media is alive and well. I agree. And I had to agree with those people that said, you are guaranteed freedom of speech. You are guaranteed freedom of the press, but you are not guaranteed access to the White House. And if he decides that he doesn't want the AP to be there because they take everything, as you see this morning, and twist it into a knot to make him look bad, doesn't matter what he says. If that's the case,
the BBC, the only ones that seem to get it right. Listen to this headline. Trump administration moves to end New York City congestion charge.
there you go.
That's what they did.
Smart people.
That's what he did. BBC doesn't want to lose their access to the press row.
No kidding.
But the AP got, but here's the thing. I'm kind of, if you were going to get mad at the AP and ban them from the press row at the White House and the press room and all the briefings, there were lots of things to get mad at them about.
Right.
As opposed to not referring to the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, and that's why you've kicked them out.
Was that his main place?
That's what I heard yesterday, that's the reason why they were no longer there. Because I always thought there was some sort of international body that determines what these things are called, not
the
Trump.
president. I can't call it the Gulf of America. Are you kidding me? It's the Gulf of Mexico. That's what it is.
If you called it Gulf of Americas, I could get on board with that. North America, South America, Central America, kind of all touching it. Well, except
East Side America,
South,
West Side America, America the Hood.
All right, mute him. That's it.
Done. Scott Tomko says the BBC is reporting the news and not interjecting opinion. Finally, they've done a lot of that. But you know why? You know who I think is holding them accountable? The same sort of media source that's starting to hold people here accountable, the Daily Mail. Daily Mail is considered a tabloid over in England. But they reported on a lot of stuff on the Biden administration that none of the mainstream media here would touch.
It reminds me of a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's still the same body of water.
Zed, you're right. I do. I want us to have a Gulf.
The Gulf of Canada.
And if we can't have ours, we can be part of it. Can be the Gulf of Americas because then it's inclusionary. But you know what? I want to rename the ocean, the Arctic, to the Canadian Ocean.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be the Arctic Ocean?
True story.
Why? The Gulf of 361.
HR says, did you ever notice some news articles getting longer but with less news or info because they spend more time talking about the AP style guide?
Yeah. Yeah, the AP has to explain themselves almost in every story about why they refer to them as undocumented immigrants or whatever their term is that they don't want to offend anybody with. It's crazy.
Well, it's like you said, if you call it an abortion clinic, it just sounds so clean and so good. Now he's dead. He's over there touching his mic.
It's on.
Oh, it's on. Yeah, he's live.
I brought him back on, but I didn't tell him.
Yeah.
I didn't want
But
to.
if you're not careful, then you pick up all of his bodily functions over there. You know? Grunts, growls.
Junior Sample says Commander Cody just got juniored.
Yeah.
Kill that mic. He's on a roll.
Yeah.
We haven't officially killed your mic, Junior.
No, Junior, you're always welcome. There's a great lobby.
You're always welcome on Saturdays and Sundays.
Right.
Or after 8.
Crazy.
Oh, man. Let's take our last break.
Folks, USA Concrete Coating, Charlie Garcia and his family. It's a family-run business. They'll come out and help you with your concrete. Sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it. Veracruz Restaurant, a family-run business. Ida and Lee Caballero and their whole family.
Post Caldo Wednesday.
Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen Miller's family. It's a family-run business.
Dollar
of these
Floor
are-
Store, family-run business, family-owned business. It's Texas owned. They may not be here in Victoria, the owners, but they're family-owned out of College Station.
There you go. Equal opportunity. Paravita Wellness. Erica Briggs, local. Family to the program. Get by and get healthy. Let Erica help you with your meal selection. All of these businesses, blue blood businesses in our community, people you can count on, people you know, people you go to church with, support these businesses. First State Bank of Louise, Astros update.
3 days away, folks, from the first spring training game. St. Louis on the 23rd,
Aaron Arenado
Sunday.
will be there.
Yeah.
Did you see where I thought it was interesting? The Altuve left field trial continues with Altuve being the consummate Astro. I'll play anywhere, anything that helps the team. You can put Dubon at second. Then Bregman
interesting.
goes to Boston, and the guy that was there goes, I'd rather play third. And Bregman's like, well, I'll play anywhere. Bregman really probably said, I don't care if you play me or not. You're paying me. Cut me a check. I'll sit.
They reached a minor league deal with Brendan Rodgers, a second baseman who was drafted one spot behind Bregman in 2015. Won a Gold Glove with the Colorado Rockies in 2022. They non-tendered him at the end of last year, and he's been sitting around.
What is that? How did that happen?
I don't know, because look at the numbers.
267 with 13 homers and 54 RBIs in only 135 games.
Not bad for a guy who's considered a whiz with his glove and not really known for his bat. I mean, that's not so bad. I guess maybe in
Cocaine. What do you think he did? How is that guy not playing?
I don't know. Or those numbers are elevated because he plays half his games at Coors Field.
Right down below, Joe Espada says he will play some second base right now.
He's
It's one
referring
day
to
at a time.
Altuve.
Oh, Altuve.
Yeah.
Altuve, in all fairness, you and I have talked about it for years. If he has a weakness, it is with the glove. Now, he can make some great plays because he's 4'6". They look like great plays. A guy like Cal Ripken just takes a step to his right and catches the ball. But Altuve gives it everything he has on every play. We love the guy. And he's a Hall of Famer. It's not like we're not, saying something good about a guy that, wow, nobody knows he's great. And he's obviously great.
Yeah.
This Brendan Rodgers guy has a lifetime average. It's not on there.
I'll try to find it.
But he's played 452 games, so roughly 3 full seasons.
Career batting average of 266. So last year he was right where he is.
Yeah, he's got 45 home runs all time. He's not known for his pop.
No, 8 home runs is his career average, so he was better than that. He's had 3 times now. He's had more than 10 home runs in
And
the
33
season.
RBIs, but he's got seasons of 25, 7, and 46 games. So it's not fair that he's been in parts of 6 seasons in the major leagues. He just hasn't played 6 seasons of Major League Baseball.
Injuries, I'm wondering?
I don't know, but isn't it interesting that
either.
a guy like Bregman came in here from LSU and he didn't make an immediate impact, but he's been a star. And Brendan Rodgers picked one spot behind him.
Yes.
One spot behind him, same position.
Won a Gold Glove just 3 years ago.
Has just been kind of meh. Good, solid major leaguer. Certainly not getting demoted, but
Well, he got non-tendered. That's worse.
that's like getting cut, right? We're not
More or
gonna
less.
see
We're just not bringing you back. And nobody else wanted him.
Bregman doesn't look right in a Red Sox
No, he
uniform.
doesn't.
And I don't think Bregman's going to perform well with all eyes on him. I just don't. Who else you got?
That's it. I think.
Oh, you want to get rid of that
as well?
They like it when the sponsors are on the screen because they don't really like to look at us.
Lisa Poole. Good morning. She's way late. Junior says he'll show up Saturday and do a show. Watch me.
Scott Tomko says, what would happen if they told baseball players they couldn't spit? Just a thought. It's got to be nasty. I'll tell you what.
They've almost done that because they can't leave the batter's box anymore. They can't.
I was just going to say, you look at Kyle Tucker, after every pitch, reaches down and grabs the dirt, and he's getting someone's spittle.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Melissa Hansen says she's on her way to DTR for some testing. That's never a good sign. Hope it goes well.
I do. I hope you do well. Be well. She may answer back that she's going to take a written test.
Yeah, exactly.
Lisa Poole
I
says
know
she
you
checked
checked in
in
at 7,
still.
but you're just now telling us good morning at 7:44.
It is Thursday. Remember that tomorrow is Beat Lisa Poole Day. You have to get to Paravita before she does because everything in the cold case is half off. And if you haven't ever tried Paravita, that's a great way to try it because that food's still good for days, and you can take it home and freeze it.
Yeah, and take it home and throw it back in the freezer.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So isn't it interesting that a lot of these Fortune 500 companies are now backing off their DEI? If this doesn't tell you it was just a movement, this tells me that there was no actual buy-in to DEI.
That's right.
At the corporate level.
It was simply like you're guilty. It's like a guilty by, or your absence is what makes you look bad. You had to at least sign on verbally. Oh yeah, we're gonna start working on DEI.
And I think that's because they were afraid of where the Biden administration was going to go. If they would have continued and won the election, they would have been ostracized by the Kamala Harris regime for not getting in lockstep with DEI.
Yeah.
Now that they don't have to, they're not doing it because they realize it's bad for business. Look at what Budweiser did at the Super Bowl. And they completely went back to images of Clydesdales and horses.
Which is where they ought to be, right?
Absolutely.
It should be entertaining. It shouldn't be. I don't need a beer company telling me how to view society. I don't need to be lectured by a beer company.
I need a beer company to help me view the world through beer goggles.
Right. And help you dance. You're a much better dancer after about 6.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, but they're all, and I bet you as they do it. You
remember New Year's Eve? You remember that we went to see Pat Matula at Inez? Remember that kid that just
didn't
care?
Nothing to give.
Easy. He just didn't care. Folks,
At all.
This kid was out there probably, I don't know, sophomore in high school, in a suit, sharp dressed, and just doing his thing.
Taking names and kicking ass.
He was dancing like nobody was watching, but we were all watching.
And the thing is, he was actually not bad.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Apple unveiling a new iPhone, the iPhone 16e, their cheapest iPhone that they will sell that will support Apple Intelligence. It'll launch at the end of this month, $599.
Is that the new trend? You sell all you can to all the ostentatious idiots, and then you drop the bottom out at the end to get rid of all the frames that you have left over.
Probably, but you know what? It's a sign of the economy.
Yeah.
Right? There probably people aren't trading their phones in as quickly as they used to. They pay them off in 2 years, and then they're like, well, you know what? It still works. I'm going to keep it for a little while longer.
Now, it is interesting. It says the launch also marks a shift away from the iPhone SE, the budget iPhone line Apple debuted in 2016 and last updated in 2022.
Yeah. Only made about 5% of Apple sales was the SE, so.
Yeah.
This phone a little bit more expensive than the SE too, by the way, but we'll see what happens with this. It's just
$599. But honestly, I can't imagine not having a device of some type. It's now become a computer that I can talk on. I send emails from all over the world. If I'm in Mexico, if I'm in Cabo, I have instantaneous contact with my office.
Yeah.
Hard to beat. I don't know if you knew that. You can send emails on your phone.
Wow, I did not know that.
Oh.
The 16E will have the most power efficient modem ever on an iPhone, according to Apple.
Most power
folks.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it's the most powerful. It's just not going to drain your battery if you use
all semantics, isn't it?
Yeah.
Any planes crash yesterday?
Not that I'm aware of, but Delta's offering $30,000 to each passenger that was on that plane in Toronto.
And you know what?
And you know what? I bet you the string is you can't sue us.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. That's a settlement offer. That's somebody coming in and it's just like we talk about how much money do we save if we raise Social Security age. it's the exact same concept. Let's say there's 180 people on the plane at 30,000 apiece. That's $54 million, or 5.4, whatever the number is. You do the commas. I'm not Jethro. I can't just do that. Let's see, at $30,000 a piece times 18 would be 540 grand, times 180 would be 5.4 million. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
It's a lot of money. But they're saying if everybody
sued and got $1 million,
which they probably wouldn't. I don't know what
100 grand.
Have we decided what fault Delta had in this flight happening? What
I heard
did happen?
One of the rear landing gear collapsed upon hitting the runway. The runway was clear. It was cold. But I'm thinking if it collapsed, probably somebody missed a linchpin somewhere.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Monty Howard says, I call DEI a fad and a bad one at that. Lisa Poole says she was saying good morning to Bob. Well, nobody knew that because it didn't say morning, Bob.
Well, Lisa, when you decide to have your little side conversations on our program, sometimes it confuses us. But we welcome that. We love that so many of you meet here in the mornings and speak to each other. Yep. And I agree with what Jarrett McCrugen says right there. By the way, very smart guy to have any blood relation to you.
Yes.
He says, to digress one last time, and he's not a Putin supporter. He said, but he drew a line of staying out of Ukraine. For their perspective, or from their perspective, had Hitler not have had to cross Ukraine in World War II, the Germans would have been in Moscow in a couple of weeks at most. Without the Ukraine buffer, they rightly or wrongly feel threatened, and NATO either didn't take Putin seriously or didn't care. The war was avoidable. At least the excuse to invade was. I agree. I think it's interesting.
Although he had made incursions into the Crimea region prior to that under Obama.
But Western Europe didn't do squat to help Ukraine. And now when the U.S. says, hey, we're in this deal $200 billion and we're thinking about taking a break, oh, that's just so typical Trump to, abandon these guys. We'll embrace them. We don't need Donald Trump. Well, where you been? Just trying to get you to spend 2% of your GDP on defense of yourselves, not on other countries. Just spend it on yourself, Germany. Merkel laughed at Trump when he said that. He said, fine, we'll just quit defending you. Let's see how long you're free Germany. He was right.
He was right.
The U.S. has just been the world's tit for enough milk forever.
Well, why do you think Zelensky's all blustery now? Because Trump has basically said, we're not going to keep funding your war.
Absolutely.
So he's got to go talk to everybody else.
He's got nothing else. He doesn't have any great economic mind. He is a persuader. That's what the guy is. Doesn't mean he's a con man. Doesn't mean he's wrong. I believe in a free Ukraine. But
it's just not a free Ukraine. Zelensky is like Putin light when it comes to the way he's run Ukraine. There's a lot of oligarchs in Ukraine that have got to rip the backs of the government turning over their resources because the kickbacks come in. And that might have been the previous governments, but I'm not sure Zelensky's the cleanest guy in the world. We can't find out where all the money that we sent to Ukraine went. Some of it we found out came back to the Bidens and to Democrats.
No doubt. And Biden already pardoned all of his relatives that got the money because what they'll do is hide it for later. Andrew Alvarez says, plain and simply, America first.
It's about time. Yeah.
Renee Medding points out there was a crash in Arizona between a Cessna and a kit plane. It was a John Denver 2.0.
Yeah. Was that in Colorado or West Virginia when he crashed? I don't remember.
I'm not sure he ever went to West Virginia.
Think so. They're just saying about it.
By the way, the Blue Ridge Mountains are not in West Virginia, if you want to keep up with that.
Thank you for that.
Crimea is where their Black Sea fleet and major naval base is. They are never giving that up. U.S. is in Okinawa still, Cuba still. Solid points. Quit comparing Russian aggression to American aggression. When we do it, it's in the name of God and freedom. And when they do it, it's in just godless communism.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The look, we're the oldest, biggest, and richest country. There's no reason for us not to do whatever we want to do.
Fact check time.
And
No,
Jesus was born here.
Stop it. I'm on a roll. And Jesus was white. Come on. Everybody knows it. And the only real Bible is the King James Version because Jesus had a British accent. Everybody knows that. He was born when we were still colonies. Man, people.
Because the U.S. was founded 2025 years ago.
Right.
Yes. Man, I hope no kids are listening because we've just destroyed
Ben Franklin.
We've just destroyed education in Texas worse than it already is.
By Ben Franklin, our greatest president. Folks, that's the top of the hour. We love you guys. I hope you have a great day. Please be safe on the roads. It is cold. If you're old, fat, and sick, stay home. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.